the Conservative Party could be left with fewer than 100 MPs. That's according to a new Bombshell poll.
Well, predicting the worst Tory defeat in history, more than a dozen ministers, even the Prime Minister himself, could lose their seats. Well, political commentator Matthew Stadland joins us now in the studio. Matt, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Easter. It's still Easter, isn't it?
Yeah,
Easter Monday.
I think so. The eggs haven't been finished just yet. Is there any chance that the Tory party can turn this around, Matt?
There's no chance that they can turn it around, I don't think. I mean, if you're talking about percentage chances of turning it around so that they actually win and Rishi Sunak remains in number 10 by the end of the year, we're talking probably between 1% and 5%. So negligible. But I don't think it will be quite as disastrous, quite as much of a wipeout as is being suggested by this survey. The survey is a chunky one, which is why I think we're all talking about it.
Well, it's massive. It's
about 15,000 people
yeah.
rather than, say, 2,000 people that you might expect with a poll. But I do think this relies partly on the Reform vote holding up. Reform have done very well. They're sort of polling 10, 11, 12%. Will that melt away as we get to election day and minds are focused? I suspect it will. If it doesn't, then the Tories really are in deep trouble.
Why do you think it will melt away?
Just because I think that people will realise that they don't have a serious offering, or even if they agree with their policies.
In what sense?
Well, even if they agree with their policies, they don't think that they will actually have any chance of getting into power, and therefore they might think their vote is wasted. Plus, there is obviously a campaign now from the Conservatives to try and persuade potential Reform voters that a vote for Reform is a vote for Labour.
Absolutely. Let's bring in the chair of the London Assembly now, Andrew Boff. Andrew, when you look at this, we were just saying this is a mega poll of 15,000 people, the Survation for Best of Britain. I mean, it is extraordinary. This is the Tories being set for what is being called a near-extinction event, coming out with just 98 seats. Labour then being triumphant with 468 seats. Lord Frost himself said, we need to start being Conservative. He's right, isn't he?
Well, what we need probably as soon as possible is the benefit of a general election when we can compare the two parties. At the moment, those responses have been taken from people without the benefit of a programme from the Labour Party. And as we know, there is no plan in the Labour Party, just statements. Every time they issue a statement, they'll change it the following week. Where at least with the Conservatives, you know that you've got a plan. Now, people haven't been given that benefit at the moment, and the scrutiny of a general election period really does change the figures, and I'm still confident that we can come out on top.
Andrew, we've been talking about this for several weeks now, saying, you know, well, could there have been a May election? Could there be a summer election? Obviously, it seems pretty clear that Rishi Sunak's holding on to that hope that things could turn out better for him, but they just do seem to be getting worse. What do you think the chances are of there being an election earlier than this winter?
Personally, I have no more information than anyone else, and but I would have thought that if we pitch in October election, October the 10th, I'm putting my money on.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, is that? Well,
I'm writing that down.
I mean, it's really interesting, actually, because, Matthew, just in terms of that, Rishi Sunak, I think, is in serious trouble here because we have the local elections coming up on the 2nd of May. Many people in his party are deeply concerned about their own majorities. Even if you've got, say, a 20,000 majority, you're in serious trouble. Don't you think that, actually, there will be moves to depose Sunak the minute those election results are announced?
Well, if you read that article in the Sunday Times yesterday, the Tory party is supposed now to be like a circular firing squad because they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. There is undoubtedly panic amongst Tory MPs. I'm sure there's panic in Cabinet as well. There's that saying, and I don't know how true it is, there's nothing as X as an ex-MP. And these people have mortgages to pay, so they are desperate. So you can't completely rule out a rebellion, but I think it's very unlikely because if they choose yet another leader, yet another Prime Minister since we all last had a vote, I think the public will throw their arms up in the air in even greater exasperation.
But if you've had 4, why not have 5? And also, if that leader comes in and actually becomes Conservative and then says, right, we're going to actually reduce tax, we're going to do all those things that we said, we're going to turn the boats back, ignore the ECHR, then maybe, just maybe, they can do it.
Well, the idea that this is not a Conservative government is for the birds, in my view, and it will link into a story that I'm sure we'll talk about now or in the next hour, which is these killer NHS waiting lists. If you don't pay your taxes, if you try and cut taxes at a time of NHS crisis, things will get even worse. And I think the public have had enough.
Yeah.